In this video, I'm going to be talking about something new that I came up with for black powder. I've been shooting black powder for about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And as long as I've been shooting black powder, I've wanted a black powder shotgun. So I started looking around online and things like that in local gun stores that sell firearms, and I just couldn't find any black powder shotguns. So I thought, well, if I can't find a used one, I'll buy a new one. So again, I started researching. The cheapest I could find a black powder shotgun, I mean cheapest, new, was $750, and I thought, that's ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to pay $750 for a shotgun, for a two-shot shotgun, you know. So I started searching online for perhaps somebody that made adapters to shoot black powder in a standard shotgun. This is my primary hunting shotgun. This is a H&R, Harrington & Richardson 20-gauge break action. I grew up hunting with a shotgun just like this, and as I got older, I had great fond memories of that, and I wanted to get another. And this has become my primary upland game bird hunting gun. I killed a lot of birds with that gun. It's been incredibly reliable, and haven't had any issues with it. So I wondered, is there somebody that makes perhaps a reloadable shell that I could use black powder in this gun? And I couldn't come across anybody. There were several companies that made adapters. Most of them were for 12-gauge only. And, the downfall is you still had to use, like, they were reloading spent plastic shells. So they'd pop the 209 primer out and they'd push a new primer in and reload it. And that's all well and good, but I didn't want to use 209 primers. A lot of the time in my area, 209 primers are like trying to find 22 long rifle. It's unobtainium a lot of the time. So, what I was hoping for was to find somebody that made a reloadable steel shell that took a percussion cap. That's what I ultimately wanted. And for 20 gauge, which makes it harder yet. And nobody offered anything like that. So, me being me, I decided to build one. So, we'll pop this open here, try not to let it eject too far. What we have here is a steel 20 gauge shell. Half-inch ID. It's the exact same outer diameter as a standard 20 gauge shell. Same exact lip. This is as good as my machinist skills get, and it's not the greatest. But what I did was I drilled and recessed and tapped a center hole to accept a standard pieta cone or nipple, so that my number 10 percussion caps for my black powder revolvers will push right on. So now it's a 20 gauge reloadable shell for black powder that is percussion ignition. And that's ultimately what I wanted. Nobody had that available for sale, so I built my own. So you just drop her in, it slips right in, it ejects very easily. Hammer back. So let's move on to the next section. Let's load this thing up. Alright, so let's go on to the loading sequence here. So what we've got, this is our homemade steel shell. I just drug out this is a Federal number 6, 2 3/4. I drug that out just for size comparison. So let me get behind the camera here. So there it is. You can see the little rims. They're pretty much identical in every way. We'll flip it over here. There's the back. You can see the pieta cone or nipple in the back of it. So there it is. It's just basically a steel shot shell that's reloadable, percussion ignition. So let's get to loading this thing. So we're going to stand it up here. We'll get this out of the way. And what I have here is a new powder flask. This one throws a 30 grain charge, so you just put your finger over it, push the button, shake it a bit, let go of the button, and it traps 30 grains in the spout. We're going to load this with 60 grains, so I'll have to do that 2 times. So I'll get ready to do that real quick. Got to do this off camera here. So I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the black powder hopefully trapped in the tip. So there's 30 grains. So we're going to dump that in. There's our first one. We're going to do it one more time. Shake, 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 shake. Hopefully you can see the powder right in there. So now we have 60 grains. So our powder is good to go. I'm going to just bump this a bit to get it to settle. Now we're going to take a over powder card. This is just kind of like a, well, it is exactly a piece of cardboard. And here we go. See, I cut it out of just a normal old chunk of cardboard. So I just cut it out so it fits snugly in there. We're going to stick that right on top. And I'm going to use this brass powder measure just to kind of poke it down in there on top of our black powder. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Hopefully you will. But we've got our card down in there on top of the powder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tiny little hammer and I'm going to lightly pack this in. Just lightly pack it. So what we've got here is I took one of these Federal number 6s. This is my general hunting load, number 6. I took one of these shells and I just emptied out the shot right here. I plan on buying a large bag of shot so I don't have to do this every time. But that's it, number 6 shot. And what we're going to do is there was 1 ounce. I don't know if it says it on here. It doesn't say it on the shell, but on the box they're advertised as 1 ounce. So that's 1 ounce of number 6 shot. And I don't think we're going to get quite all of this in there, but we'll get as much as we can in. Just bump it around a little bit. So, yeah, that's not bad. I've left about 1/8 of an inch gap on the top. I don't know if you can see it. So, you know, if I had to guess, that's a little more than ½ an ounce. It's probably like 5/8 of an ounce we put in there. Just guessing. I actually am in the process of commissioning a local machinist to turn me out ½ a dozen of these in 20 gauge and another ½ dozen in 12. And you can see my machining it's not the greatest. But what I'm going to have him do is leave like a 16th of an inch wall. So the capacity will be a little bit more on the ones that I have made. But this way I can preload 6 or 7 and go hunting for the day, and it's just like a standard shot shell. I mean, as far as drop one in, bang, eject, drop another one in. So after we get to this far, I'm going to take a over-the-shot card. Now, by card, what I mean here is I took a like a macaroni and cheese box and cut out my own over-powdered card. There's no sense spending money on this stuff. So that's what it is, basically, macaroni and cheese box. I'm going to slip that right over the top here of our shot. We're going to push it down on top of the shot. Just lightly pushing it down. So what we end up with is a card over the end. And now one of the last things we're going to have to do, off camera, I've had a candle burning. Little tea light candle here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Wow, that light's really bright. Let me kind of shadow it. Anyhow. So, I've got this wax melted. Move all this stuff off camera here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour that wax right on top of the shell. Just like that. We'll blow this guy out. And we're going to let that solidify. And what that's going to do is seal the end of the shell so that it doesn't get water inside of it, but more importantly, that all of our shot and powder doesn't come falling out if we handle these a little bit rough. So it's almost solidified. I don't quite want to touch it yet, but yeah, I think it's good enough. So there it is. We are filled up to the top with wax. And that was just about the last 1/8 of an inch or so above that card. So we've got a sealed shell. Yeah, it's pretty solidified now. Let me scrape this off here, this little extra bit of wax we don't need. There we go. So, last step, I use Remington number 10 percussion caps on my Pieta. They fit incredibly well, and I've never had a misfire with them. So why change a good thing? I used a Pieta nipple in the back of this for our ignition. Wow, that light's really bright. I'm sorry about the poor lighting here. Anyhow, there's a cone in there, a pieta nipple for number 10s. This way I can use the exact same caps, which I have a bunch of and are easy to get. I have a bunch of percussion caps for my shot shell. So, take one out, flip this guy over, onto the back here. We're going to take this little percussion cap, number 10, Remington, poke it onto the nipple, like so. And we have a loaded shot shell, 20 gauge steel, 60 grains of black powder, about 5/8 of an ounce or so of number 6 shot, sealed on the top with a little bit of wax, number 10 percussion cap ignition. So nobody offered one of this particular item for sale. So you know, if you can't find one, well, build it. So now the fun part. Let's go give this thing a try. Let's go shoot this thing. Alright, so here we are, back in the same spot. We've got a milk jug set out there at about 10 yards or so, about the same as last time we shot here. We've got our steel percussion ignition shot shell for 20 gauge. This is loaded again with 60 grains of our homemade Douglas fir black powder and about 5/8 of an ounce of number 6 shot. So let's see if we can get that milk jug. Let's give it a try. Drop our shell in, close it up, pull the hammer back. Well, I see it leaking. Let's go take a look. Well, we got some BBs in her there. I don't know how many. It looks to be, there's quite a few up the top, 10, 15 or so. Not too shabby. So we're back. This is that H&R we just shot. Tested the steel shot shell in. So we're going to open it up. We'll try not to, there it is. Try not to let it fly out because it actually ejects very, very well. That was one of the problems I noticed with some of the people reloading black powder in plastic shells. They had a tendency to swell the shell and get stuck in the chamber. This one does not have that. I'll try not to let it fly out. Ooh, does not have that problem. It comes out very easy. As you can see, there is a spent number 10 percussion cap on the back. It's incredibly dirty inside. It's with the downfall of black powder, obviously. So I'll be cleaning this really soon. But it was successful. You know, when I was out there shooting, it originally looked like I had around 15 hits or so. Here's the milk jug we were shooting at. I went ahead and circled with a paint pen the hits. It turned out to be about double what I thought. I wrote it up here on the top. It was 33 hits. So that's about the view that I had when I was shooting at it. That's a pretty darn good pattern. Of course, you know, we're only 10 yards away, but still not too shabby at all. 33 hits. You can listen. There's a bunch of pellets rolling around in the bottom of it. But pretty respectable pattern. For not having any kind of a shot cup or anything like that inside of it, this is a modified choke built into the barrel. So that probably helps out quite a bit. But all in all, it was incredibly successful. It didn't quite have the power I was expecting with 60 grains. Of course, this is my homemade powder, and it's not quite as powerful as store-bought. But I think 60 grains as far as hunting within 10 to 15 yards, I think would be plenty adequate for upland game birds and things like that. But thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe to the channel. Got some cleaning to do.